This video is kindly sponsored by Skillshare. More on them later. As with most people, I imagine, my minimalism journey started with me decluttering some of my things around 10 years ago. I started to bring order to the chaos because I felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff around me. And yes, all the typical benefits came true. Minimalism has helped me to save money, time, energy, space, and all of those wonderful things. But along the way, I found that minimalism has helped me to change my life far beyond my material possessions and my immediate surroundings. And some of these were actually quite unexpected. So today I thought it'd be fun to share with you 5 unexpected ways that minimalism has made me a happier person. I also want to share my thoughts with you about how I think minimalism can best be applied for it to actually help out with our happiness, because I don't want it to come across as, minimalism being this magical solution for everything. It's not. It's a lifestyle, and it's largely due to how we apply it in our life. So I'll chat a bit more about that towards the end. Hi everyone, welcome back. And if you're new here, this is a place where you can get tips and inspiration for living a simpler, happier, and calmer life. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe down below to follow along with future videos. If there's one thing that's really changed about me since I started living a more simple, minimalist life, it's that I've become much more confident as a person, and minimalism has really helped me to get over many of those insecurities that I used to have. Of course, I still feel insecure at times, but when I compare my confidence levels now to how they were before, it's a world of difference. And I think this has to do largely with how I started minimalism, because many of the things I started decluttering in the beginning had to do with looks. There were so many clothes, just so many clothes, lots and lots of shoes with high heels that I never wore because they were very painful, many different kinds of bags and purses, and just an insane amount of beauty products. I'm talking so much makeup, hair serums, fake tanning sprays. I had those little weird plastic squishy things that you can stuff your bra with and tons of that stuff. And while I was decluttering some of these items, it made me start to think about why I had them in the first place and why I was buying them so much. And of course, there's nothing wrong with these kinds of products. If you enjoy them, it's perfectly fine. But in my case, I was buying them to try and cover up my insecurities, and I had a lot of insecurities, which the beauty industry loves, because if we feel insecure, then we will go out and look for a product to buy to fix it, change it, or hide it. And going through all of these items, it really made me see just how much the beauty industry was trying to make me feel insecure in order to buy their products, and it was working on me. So that made me start to realize that I wanted to try and accept myself more for who I was. There is a deep emotional need that we can try to fill by going shopping, and that's the need to be accepted. And the things that we buy are often linked to our insecurities. So this is how I learned that confidence is just not something that I can buy. No matter if I keep buying that stuff, I'm still going to feel insecure. And it's a cliche, but it truly has to come from within. Again, not that there's anything wrong with shopping necessarily. I don't want people to see this video and think that I'm preaching like shopping is bad or you can never go shopping as a minimalist. That's not true. It's just about the overall balance. And I think that minimalism can help us to just be more intentional about why we're buying stuff. And it can help us to see that we don't have to buy anything to become something that we are not already, which is 100% good enough. And if you want to buy something to add to that, then great. But the moment that I stopped shopping so much, that is the moment that I started to get my confidence back and accept myself for who I was, bit by bit. If you're curious about what's left in my wardrobe, I still have about 40 items in my wardrobe for all seasons, and I recently made a minimalist wardrobe tour video to show all of them, so I will leave that right there and in the description box if you're curious. The second area where I notice a really big difference in my life is my stress levels. I've always been someone who is pretty laid back in some ways and probably easy to be around, but that's more so how I present myself around others. On the inside, I'm also someone who finds it quite hard to truly relax. I feel like I'm wound pretty tight and I used to experience quite a bit of stress on a daily basis. And minimalism has helped me to let go of a large part of these stressors and a large part of these impulses that keep going on inside your head about, things that you still want to do or things you still want to buy, or how to buy certain things to present the kind of life that you want others to see you as. Just in general, I was always on the lookout for the next thing to do or to own or to buy or to make. And that took up a lot of mental space because there's all that decision fatigue and you need to do research, like which one do you think you want to buy? And these are things that I now rarely have to think about. Also, now that I'm being more mindful of where I'm spending my money, I have the luxury of being able to live below my means, which is a wonderful thing because that really helps with financial stress. And just my spaces are pretty clutter-free. It's nice and calming to be around because there's not a lot of visual distractions or things that I need to manage or clean. So it kind of all adds up. One book that I really enjoyed about minimalism is called Goodbye Things from Fumio Sasaki. I recommend it if you haven't tried it yet. And in that book, he talks about the silent to-do list, which really resonated with me. And that idea is that our things constantly send us messages, like silent messages, like clean me, play me, wear me, fix me, use me, etc. Also things like unfinished projects, clothing that needs fixing, messy kitchen areas, or items in your closet that you rarely wear. Every time you look at it, it makes you feel kind of guilty and sad for not being able to wear it. So all of these silent messages add to our emotional labor. And now that I've decluttered and greatly minimized just the amount of stuff around me in general, this silent to-do list has become a lot less, and that also really helps with my stress levels. In the beginning, I was mostly focused on clearing the clutter around me and getting rid of all of the stuff that I felt was weighing me down. But what I noticed was when the focus started shifting away from material possessions and buying and acquiring new things, it started to shift more towards other things that bring me much more value. And because of that, my life now feels a lot fuller with less stuff. The biggest examples of this is probably focusing more on experiences. Now that I'm not buying a bunch of stuff that I really don't need, I have more time, money, and energy available for doing things I enjoy, whether that's alone or with someone else. I think minimalism invites us to focus inward more on memories, experiences, feelings, skills, learning, growing, and activities that just truly add meaning. So that's why I always say that the focus of minimalism, in my opinion, shouldn't just be on less. It should be on what do we want more of through less. So how can we fill our life more with the things that we love through being more intentional and owning less stuff. And of course, minimalism can help us to be more satisfied, content, and grateful in life, because going through all of my stuff, it was a great eye-opener for me. It made me see just how much stuff I have and how incredibly fortunate I am to have all of my basic needs met, to have everything that I could possibly need to live a happy life. And because of that, it's very hard for me to be unhappy because I am so grateful for my life and everything I have. I've also just gotten to know myself a lot better, which is what happens when you evaluate hundreds of items and ask yourself if you still want to keep them and why you got them in the first place. And because of that whole process, I am now much more in tune with my own needs, and I have a much better sense of what I want and need from life. Which also brings me to today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. They are an online learning platform where you can watch thousands of classes to develop your skills in a huge variety of topics, basically whatever you want to learn about. I have learned so many things through watching their classes that I can definitely say it has enriched my life and my work in many different ways. From back when I first got my new camera and had no idea how to use it, to when I wanted to pick up the guitar again. I've used their classes to learn about digital design when I designed my own ebook. I learned how to write copy for my website, edit videos, take care of houseplants, and this year to create digital art in Procreate. Skillshare classes have helped me out dozens of times by now, so if there's anything that you want to learn or deepen an existing skill, whether it's creative or for your career, Skillshare is just an amazing resource. The next class that I'm so excited about starting is called Mindful Digital Art, 5 Creative Prompts to Reflect and Meditate by Morgan Harper Nichols. This class has Vera written all over it. I was so excited when I found it, and I can't wait to learn from her about creativity and mindfulness. The classes are ad-free and come with subtitles in Spanish, Portuguese, French, and German. And the first 1,000 people to click my link in the description box can get a 1-month free trial, so you can even try them out for free. I highly recommend it. Big thanks to Skillshare for their support. Let's get back to the video. Another change I've noticed is that it's easier for me now to find peace in life and peace in stillness. And I think that's largely due to me being more minimalist when it comes to the content and the social media that I consume. I didn't grow up with the internet, I didn't grow up with social media, something for which I'm actually very thankful. And it's just never been something that really interested me. Of course, now I'm a full-time online content creator. I make my income online, I have an online presence, but I'm still very mindful of the type of content that I consume and the type of content that I make. I read somewhere online about the consumption of modern chaos, and I like that phrase because that's kind of what it feels like for me. And just like with food, that's very important for our physical health, I feel like the content that we consume is very important for our mental health. So it is just very important to be intentional about the kind of content you consume and how much and when and how that's affecting your well-being. And it's not like all content or social media is bad, of course, not anything from it, but I think that certain kinds of it can potentially fuel our insecurities, our fear, our anger, our ignorance. It can make us feel scared about the fate of the world. And unfortunately, algorithms are not made to give us like a complete overview of a certain topic with all the facts and all the angles to look at it from. It is built to keep us clicking. So I've become very mindful, first of just the kind of content that I want to consume, and second, the times of day when I just prefer to be in stillness and not consume that modern chaos, and I found a lot of peace because of that. And the last big change that I want to talk about today is that I think minimalism has helped me to worry less. I'm still a worrier, in all honesty. I think it partly has to do with my childhood and also just probably with how I'm wired. I'm still worried about things, I still have anxieties, but when I compare it to how it was before, it is now much, much better. And I think that minimalism has played a part in that. Because of what minimalism does in essence, at least for me, is about letting go of the attachment and the clinging. Because somehow I think having a lot of stuff around us can make us feel safer. Like whatever happens, we will have the items to deal with it. And minimalism can kind of help us to challenge that and to let go of that control a little bit and just let go of the attachment and the clinging to our possessions. And by letting go of over 60% of my items, this attachment and clinging has become a lot less strong because I've now seen that there's nothing that I've gotten rid of that caused any kind of real problem or issue any time in the future. Even if I ended up needing that item sometime later in the future, there was always another solution. I could just borrow it or do it some other way because people are resilient and things are figure-outable, and this helped to reinforce the idea that most things will just work themselves out and there will be a solution. And there's no need for me to keep such a tight grasp on things, literally on things, as well as things other than things, if you know what I mean. If you struggle with worrying too, something that really helps me still to this day is asking yourself the question, is this something that I can do anything about? And if the answer is yes, then great, then no need to worry, you can just do that thing. And if the answer is no, then great, no need to worry because there's nothing you can do about it anyway. Kind of like that quote, relax, nothing is under control. I'm very curious about something. Would you describe yourself as a minimalist or minimalish, or someone who just likes things to be tidy and organized, or none of these things? Let me know. So can minimalism make us happier? For me, it definitely has helped. It's only one of the things, but certainly a very helpful thing that I've done. And I think it largely depends on how we apply it. If you decide to focus on less, if you declutter everything that is not truly essential and deprive yourself of any kind of color and variety and fun, then minimalism is probably not going to add to your happiness. I see many minimalists come to the realization after a while that, okay, I've taken things a bit too far, it's not realistic for me anymore, I'm holding myself back now, and I need to start, allowing myself a bit more. So I think it depends on how you choose to make minimalism work for you. What minimalism looks like for you doesn't have to be the same as what it looks like for me. You can adjust it to your preferences, your personality, your lifestyle, your needs. And if you try a certain aspect of minimalism and it doesn't feel right for you, then make adjustments, make it work for you. I think that's the best tip about minimalism that I could give. If you want some help with doing that, then I recommend watching this video right here where I share 30 do's and don'ts when it comes to minimalism. And also don't forget to check out Skillshare and get your 1-month free trial, link in the description box. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful week and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.